Ladies and gentlemen, I bid you huzzah and welcome. Welcome to Shakespeare in the Shade and our 10th production. This time a virtual experience. Fast, fun, free Shakespeare and classical theater. Tonight, we present you with perhaps the most famous of the ancient Greek plays, Sophocles' great tragedy, Oedipus Rex. Many years ago, a prophecy was told that Oedipus would kill his father and marry his mother. No, right. He thought of his escape of this fate by leaving his home for a new one, which brought Oedipus to our setting in the city of Thebes. When he arrived, Oedipus found that Thebes was being terrorized by a sphinx. What's a sphinx? Half human, half lion with wings. Only in Greek mythology, folks. Oedipus saved the city by solving the riddle of the sphinx and forcing it to slink away with shame and embarrassment. And as a reward, he got to marry the beautiful queen of Thebes, Jocasta, who just happened to be newly single. And so our play today begins in Thebes, which has been suffering from a deadly plague. Plague, sounds familiar? A local priest has arrived with a mob of people to beg the king for help. The king, King Oedipus Rex, knowing that bad things will never happen without good reason, has sent his brother-in-law, Creon, to the oracle at Delphi for advice. How do we stop the pandemic? Creon returns only to say that the plague is punishment from the gods for the murder of Laius, the king previous to Oedipus. Only when this killer is found can the city be saved from more quarantine. Oedipus summons Tiresias, the famous blind prophet, to tell him what he knows. We shouldn't give too much away, but let's just say that Tiresias doesn't tell him what he wants to hear. Oedipus thinks that Creon and Tiresias are making stuff up to steal his throne. But Oedipus's wife, Jocasta, tells him that there's no need to worry. Oedipus keeps asking questions, though, and the story starts to sound oddly familiar. Queen Jocasta, tells Oedipus to stop poking around, stop asking questions. But he doesn't listen and makes a terrible discovery, which sends her and Oedipus off the deep end. We will leave it to the cast to tell you the rest of the story. And so, without further ado, we present to you Oedipus Rex.
My children, why are you sitting here in supplication to me while the city fills with incense, chants, and cries of pain? It would not be appropriate for me to learn of this from any other source, so I have come in person. I, Oedipus, whose fame all men acknowledge. But you there, old man, tell me, what feeling brings you to me? Fear or desire? You can be confident that I will help. I shall assist you willingly in every way.
Oedipus, ruler of my native land, you see how people here of every age are crouching down around your altars. Some fledglings barely strong enough to fly, and others bent by age. With priests as well, for I am a priest of Zeus, and these ones here, the pick of all your youth. For our city, as you yourself could see, is badly shaken. She cannot raise her head above the depths of so much surging death. Disease infects fruit blossoms in our land. Disease infects our herds of grazing cattle, makes women in labor lose their children, and deadly pestilence, that fiery god, swoops down to blast the city, and fills black Hades with groans and howls. These children and myself now sit here by your home, because we judge you the first of men in what happens in this life and in our interactions with the gods. For you came here and freed us from the tribute we were paying to that cruel singer, and yet you knew no more than we did, and had not been taught. Restore our city so that it stands secure. It's better to be a king in a land of men than in a desert. An empty ship or city wall is nothing if no men share a life together there.
I know why you have come, what you yearn for. For I well know that you are ill, and yet, as sick as you are, there is not one of you whose illness equals mine. Your agony comes to each one of you as his alone, a special pain for him and no one else. But here in my heart, I sorrow for myself and for the city, and for you, all together. I've been shedding many tears, and in my wandering thoughts, exploring many pathways. Followed up the one thing I could find and acted on it. I have sent away my brother-in-law, Creon, to Apollo's shrine to learn from him what I might do or say to save our city. When I count the days, the time he's been away, I now worry. For he's been gone too long, well past the time he should have taken.
These men here have just informed me that Creon is approaching.
Lord Apollo, as he returns, may fortune attend on him.
It seems the news he brings is good?
We'll know soon enough. My royal kinsman, what message do you bring us from the god?
Good news. I tell you, even troubles difficult to bear will end happily if events lead to the right conclusion.
What is the oracle?
If you wish to hear the news in public, I'm prepared to speak, or we could step inside.
Speak out to everyone.
Then let me report what I heard from the god. Lord Phoebus clearly orders us to drive away the polluting strain this land has harbored, which will not be healed if we keep nursing it.
What sort of cleansing?
By banishment, or atone for murder by shedding blood again.
And the one whose fate the god revealed, what sort of man is he?
Before you came, my lord, to steer our ship of state, Laius ruled this land.
I have heard that, but I have never seen the man.
Laius was killed, and now the god is clear. Those murderers, he tells us, must be punished, whoever they may be.
And where are they? In what country? Where am I to find a trace of this ancient crime?
Here in Thebes, so said the god. What is sought is found, but what is overlooked escapes.
When Laius fell in bloody death, where was he? At home? In his fields? Or in another land?
He was abroad, on his way to Delphi. He began the trip, but did not return.
Was there no messenger? No companion who made the journey with him and witnessed what took place? A person who might provide some knowledge?
They all died, except for one who was afraid and ran away. There was only one thing he could inform us of with confidence about the things he saw.
What was that? If we had one fact, we could find many things.
He told us it was robbers who attacked them. Not just a single man, a gang of them. They killed him.
How would a thief have dared to do this?
Once Laius was dead, we were in trouble, so no one sought revenge.
When the king had fallen, what trouble prevented you from looking into it?
It was the Sphinx.
And I will start afresh and once again shed light on darkness. You will see how I seek vengeance for this land as well as for the god. For whoever killed this man may soon enough desire to turn his hand to punish me in the same way too, and kill me. Thus, in avenging Laius, I serve myself. But now, my children, someone must call the people to assemble here. I'll do everything I can. With God's help, this will all come to light.
May Phoebus, who sent this oracle, come as our savior and end our sickness. O voice of Zeus,
You have come to glorious Thebes. What is your intent?
My heart shakes with fear.
What obligation will you demand from me?
Immortal voice, speak to me. I call on you, Athena, daughter of Zeus.
And on your sister too, Artemis, who guards our land.
And on Phoebus, who shoots from far away.
Oh, you three guardians, appear to me.
If before now you have ever driven off a fiery plague to keep disaster from the city and have banished it,
Then come to us this time as well.
You pray. Hear what I have to say. Then you may hope to find relief from your distress. I now proclaim the following. Whoever among you knows the man it was who murdered Laius, I order him to reveal it all to me. And if the killer is afraid, I tell him to avoid the danger of the major charge by speaking out against himself. If so, he will be sent out from this land unhurt and undergo no further punishment. If someone knows the killer is a stranger from some other state, let him not stay mute. As well as a reward, he'll earn my thanks. But if he remains quiet, if anyone, through fear, hides himself or a friend of his against my orders, I decree that no one in this land shall give that killer shelter, whoever he may be. I pray whoever the man is who did this crime, one unknown person acting on his own or with companions, the worst of agonies will wear out his wretched life. I pray too that if he should become an honored guest in my own home and with my knowledge, I may suffer all those things I've just called down upon the killers. Make sure all these orders take effect for the sake of our barren, godless, ruined land. Even if a god were not urging us, it would not be right for you to simply leave things as they are. To not purify the murder of a man who was so noble and who was your king. You should have looked into it. So I will now fight on his behalf, as if this matter concerned my own father, and I will strive to do everything I can to find the man who spilled his blood.
My lord, since you extend your oath to me, I will say this. I am not the murderer, nor can I tell you who the killer is. As for what you're seeking, it's for Apollo, who launched this search to state who did it.
That is well said, but no man has power to force the gods to speak against their will.
May I suggest the next best course of action?
You may indeed.
Tiresias, I know, can see into things like Lord Apollo. From him, my king, a man investigating this, might well find out clear details of the crime.
I've taken care of that, at Creon's urging. I've dispatched 2 messengers to him.
There are rumors from a long time ago.
What kind of rumors?
It was said that Laius was killed by certain travelers.
Yes, I heard as much. No one has seen the one who did it.
If the killer hears your curses, he will not hold back, for they are serious.
When a man has no fear of doing the act, he's not afraid of words.
At last, Tiresias is being guided here, our godlike prophet in whom truth resides.
Tiresias, you who understand all things, you know, although you cannot see, how sick our state is. And so, we find in you alone, great seer, our shield and savior. For Phoebus Apollo has sent us an answer to our question. The only cure for this infecting pestilence is to find the man who murdered Laius and kill them, or else expel them from this land as exiles. Save this city and yourself. Deliver us from all pollution by the dead. We are in your hands.
Alas, alas, how dreadful it can be to have wisdom when it brings no benefit to the man possessing it.
What is wrong?
Let me go home. You must bear your burden to the very end, and I will carry mine.
What you are saying is not customary and shows little love toward the city which nurtured you, if you deny us your prophetic voice.
I see your words are also out of place. I do not speak for fear of doing the same.
If you know something, then by heaven do not turn away.
You are all ignorant. I will not reveal the troubling things inside me, nor will I state they are your griefs as well.
What are you saying? Do you know and will not say? Do you intend to betray me and destroy the city?
I will cause neither me nor you distress. You will not learn a thing from me.
You most disgraceful of men. Will you not speak out?
You blame my nature, but do not see the temper you possess. Instead, you're finding fault with me.
What man who listened to these words of yours would not be enraged? You insult the city.
Yet events will still unfold for all my silence.
Since they will come, you must inform me.
I will say nothing more. Fume on about it if you wish.
I will. I get the feeling you conspired in the act.
Is that so? Then I would ask you to stand by the very words which you yourself proclaimed. For the accursed polluter of this land is you.
You dare to utter words like this? Do you think you can get away with it?
I am getting away with it. The truth within me makes me strong.
Who taught you this? It could not have been your craft.
You did. I did not want to speak, but you incited me.
What do you mean?
I say that you yourself are the very man you're looking for. I say that with your dearest family, unknown to you, you are living in disgrace. You have no idea.
Do you really think you can just speak out, say things like that, and still remain unpunished?
Yes, I can, if the truth has any strength.
It does, but not for you. Truth is not in you. For your ears, your mind, your eyes are blind.
You are a fool to use harsh words, which all men soon enough will use to curse you.
You live in endless darkness of the night, so you can never injure me or any man who can glimpse daylight.
It is not your fate to fall because of me. Lord Apollo will make that happen. He will be enough.
Is this something Creon has devised, or is it your invention?
Creon is no threat. You made this trouble on your own.
Creon, my old trusted family friend, has secretly conspired to overthrow me and paid off a devil-dealing quack like this. A crafty priest who can only see his own advantage, who in his special art is absolutely blind. Come on, tell me, how have you ever given evidence of your wise prophecy? When the Sphinx was here, you said nothing to set the people free. Why not? Her riddle was not something the first man to stroll along could solve. A prophet was required. The people saw your knowledge was no use. But then I came, Oedipus, who knew nothing. Yet I finished her off using my wits. That's the man you want to overthrow, hoping, no doubt, to stand up there with Creon once he's king. But I think you and your conspirator in this will regret trying to drive me from the state.
To us, it sounds as if Tiresias has spoken in anger. And Oedipus, you have done so too. That isn't what we need. Instead, we should be looking into this. How can we best act on the god's decree?
You may be king, but I do have the right to answer you. For I am not your slave. I serve Apollo, and thus will never stand with Creon. So I say this to you, since you have chosen to insult my blindness. Do you know the family you come from? Without your knowledge, you have become the enemy of your own relatives. Father and mother will one day drive you from this land in exile. Those eyes of yours, which now can see so clearly, will be dark. What harbor will not echo with your cries once you have learned the truth about the wedding by which you sailed into this royal house? You have no notion of the quantity of other troubles which will render you and your own children equals. So go on, keep insulting Creon and my prophecies, for among all living mortals, nobody will be destroyed more wretchedly than you.
Must I tolerate this insolence from him? Get out, and may the plague get rid of you. Off with you! Now, turn your back and go. And don't come back here to my home again.
I would not have come, but you summoned me.
I did not know you would speak so stupidly. If I had, you would have waited a long time before I summoned you here.
I was born like this. You think I am a fool, but to your parents, the ones who made you, I was wise enough.
Wait. My parents. Who was my father?
This day will reveal that and destroy you.
Everything you speak is like a riddle.
Well, in solving riddles, are you not the best there is?
Mock my excellence, but you will find out I am truly great.
That success of yours has been your ruin.
I don't care if I saved the city.
I will go now. Boy, lead me away.
Yes, let him guide you back. You're in the way. If you stay, you will provoke me. Once you're gone, you won't annoy me any further.
I'm going, but first I shall tell you why I came. I do not fear the face of your displeasure. There is no way you can destroy me. I tell you, the man you have been seeking all this time while proclaiming threats and issuing orders about the one who murdered Laius, that man is here. According to reports, he is a stranger who lives here in Thebes, but he will prove to be a native Theban. From that change, he will derive no pleasure. He will be blind, although he now can see. He will be poor, although now is rich. He will set off for a foreign country, groping the ground before him with a stick. And he will turn out to be the brother of the children in his house, their father too, both at once, and the husband and the son of the very woman who gave him birth. He sowed the same womb as his father and murdered him. Go in and think on this.
Speaking from the Delphic rock, the oracular voice intoned a name.
But who is this man? The one with his blood-red hands has done unspeakable brutality.
That wise interpreter of prophecies stirs up my fears, unsettling dread. I cannot approve of what he said, and I cannot deny it.
I have never heard of any quarreling, past or present, between those two, which could give me evidence enough to undermine the fame of Oedipus.
Apollo and Zeus are truly wise.
They understand what humans do.
There is no sure way to ascertain if human prophets grasp things any more than I do.
Although in wisdom, one man may leave another far behind.
But until I see the words confirmed, I will not approve of any man who censures Oedipus.
For it was clear when that winged sphinx went after him, he was a wise man then.
We witnessed it. He passed the test and endeared himself to all the city.
Citizens, I have just discovered that Oedipus, our king, has leveled charges against me, disturbing allegations. If he believes that he has suffered injury from me, in word or deed, then I have no desire to keep on living into ripe old age, still bearing his reproach.
Perhaps he charged you, spurred on by the rash power of his rage, rather than his mind's true judgment.
Was it publicized that my opinions convinced Tiresias to utter lies?
That's what was said. I have no idea just what that meant.
Did he accuse me and announce the charges in a normal state of mind?
I do not know. What those in power do, I do not see.
You! Have you grown so bold-faced that you now come to my own home? You who are obviously the murderer of the man whose house it was. A thief who clearly wants to steal my throne. In the name of all the gods, did you plan to do it because you thought I was a coward or a fool? Or did you think I would not learn about your actions, or that if I knew I could not deflect them?
Will you listen to me? It's your turn now to let me make a response. Then judge me for yourself.
You are a clever talker, but from you I will learn little. I know you, an enemy of mine.
At least first listen to what I have to say.
There's one thing you do not have to tell me. You have betrayed me.
If you think being stubborn and forgetting common sense is wise, then you're not thinking as you should.
And if you think you can try to harm a man who is a relative of yours and escape without a penalty, then you have not been thinking wisely.
I agree. What you've just said makes sense. So, tell me the nature of the damage you claim you're suffering because of me.
Did you or did you not persuade me to send for Tiresias, that prophet?
Yes, and I'd still give you the same advice.
How long is it since Laius?
Did what? What's Laius got to do with anything?
Since Laius was carried off and disappeared. Since he was killed so brutally.
That was long ago. Many years have passed since then.
At that time, was Tiresias as skilled in prophecy?
Then, as now, he was honored for his wisdom.
And back then, did he ever mention me?
No, never. Not while I was with him.
Did you not investigate the killing?
Yes, of course we did, but we found nothing.
Why did this man, this wise man, not speak up?
I do not know. And when I don't know something, I like to hold my tongue.
You know enough. At least you understand enough to say...
What? If I really do know something, I will not deny it.
If Tiresias was not working with you, he would not name me the one who murdered Laius.
If he says this, well, you're the one who knows. But I think the time has come for me to question you.
Ask whatever you wish. You will never prove that I'm the murderer.
Then tell me this. Are you not married to my sister?
Yes, I don't deny that.
And you two rule this land as equals.
Whatever she desires, she gets from me.
And am I not third, equal to you both?
That's what makes your friendship so deceitful.
No. Not if you think this through, as I do. First, consider this. In your view, would anyone prefer to rule rather than live in peace if his powers were the same? I, for one, have no natural desire to be king. For now, I get everything I want from you. If I were king myself, I'd be doing many things against my will. So how can being a king be sweeter to me than royal power without anxiety? All men are my friends and wish me well, and those who seek to get something from you now flatter me. So why would I give up such benefits for something else? A mind that's wise will not turn treacherous, and if another man pursued such things, I would not work with him. If you want proof of this, then go to Delphi. Ask the prophet if I brought back to you exactly what was said. At that point, if you discover I have planned something, that I've conspired with Tiresias, then arrest me and have me put to death, not merely on your own authority, but on mine as well, a double judgment. Do not condemn me on an unproved charge. It's not fair to judge these things by guesswork, to assume bad men are good or good men bad. I say a man who throws away a noble friend is like a man who parts with his own life. Give it some time, since only time can fully validate a man who's true. A bad man is exposed in just one day.
For a man concerned about being killed, my lord, he has spoken eloquently.
If some conspirator moves against me, in secret and with speed, I must be quick and make my counter plans. If I just rest and wait for him to act, Then he'll succeed in what he wants to do, and I'll be finished.
What do you want? To exile me from here?
No. I want you to die.
You are determined not to change your mind or listen to me?
You'll not convince me, for there's no way I can trust you.
I can see that you've become unbalanced.
I'm sane enough to defend my interests.
You should be protecting mine as well.
But you're a treacherous man.
What if you're wrong?
I still must govern.
Not if you do it badly.
My city.
I, too, have some rights in Thebes. It is not yours alone.
My lords, an end to this. I see Jocasta coming from the palace. You should bring this quarrel to a close.
You foolish men! Why are you arguing with our land so sick? Aren't you ashamed? You, Oedipus, go in the house. And you, Creon, return to yours.
Sister, your husband Oedipus intends to banish me from my father's country or arrest me and then have me killed.
That's right. I caught him committing treason, conspiring against my royal authority.
Let me not prosper, but die a man accursed if I have done what you accuse me of.
Oedipus, for the sake of the gods, trust him in this. Respect that oath he made before all heaven. Do it for my sake and for those around you.
I beg you, my lord, consent to this. Agree with her.
What is it then you're asking me to do?
Pay Creon due respect. He has not been foolish in the past.
Are you aware just what you're asking?
Yes, I understand.
Then tell me clearly what you mean to say.
You should not accuse a friend of yours and thus dishonor him with a mere story which may be false, when he has sworn an oath and therefore could be subject to a curse.
By this point, you should clearly understand what you're doing when you request this, seeking to exile me or kill me.
No, no, may I die the most miserable of deaths, if I have ever harbored such a thought.
Let him go then. Even though it means I must be killed or sent from here in exile, forced out in disgrace. I've been moved by what you said. But if he stays here, he will be hateful to me.
You are obviously unhappy to concede, and when you lose your temper, you go too far.
Why not just go? Leave me alone.
I leave, since I see you do not understand me. But these men here know I'm a reasonable man.
Lady, will you escort our king inside?
Yes, once I've learned what happened here.
They talked. Their words gave rise to uninformed suspicions, but even unjust words inflict sore wounds.
From both of them?
Yes.
What caused it?
With our country already in distress, it is enough to leave things as they are.
Now do you see the point you've reached, thanks to your noble wish to dissolve and dull what I felt in my heart?
My lord, I have declared it more than once, so you must know it would have been quite mad if I abandoned you, who, when this land was in great trouble, set it right again, and who, in these harsh times, should prove a trusty and successful guide.
By all the gods, my king, please let me know why, in this present matter, you now feel such unremitting rage.
It's Creon's fault. He conspired against me.
In this quarrel, what was said? Tell me.
Creon claims that I'm the murderer, that I killed Laius.
Does he know this firsthand, or has he picked it up from someone else?
No, he set up that treasonous prophet. What he says himself all sounds quite innocent.
Forget about those things you've said. Listen to me and ease your mind with this. No human being has skill in prophecy. I'll show you why with this example. King Laius once received an oracle. I won't say it came straight from Apollo, but it was from those who do assist the god. It said Laius was fated to be killed by a child of ours, one born to him and me. Now, at least according to the story, one day Laius was killed by foreigners, by robbers, at a place where 3 roads meet. Besides, before our child was 3 days old, Laius pinned his ankles tight together and ordered other men to throw him out on a mountain rock where no one ever goes. And so Apollo's plan that he'd become the one who killed his father didn't work. And Laius never suffered what he feared, that his own son would be his murderer, although that's what the oracle had claimed. So don't concern yourself with prophecies. Whatever gods intend to bring about, they themselves make known quite easily.
As I listen to these words of yours, my soul is shaken.
Why do you say that?
I thought I heard you say that Laius was murdered at a place where 3 roads meet.
That's what was said and what people still believe.
Where is this place? Where did it happen?
In a land called Phocis. 2 roads lead there, one from Delphi and one from Dahlia.
How long has it been since these events took place?
The story was reported in the city just before you took over royal power here in Thebes.
Oh, Zeus! What have you done? What have you planned for me?
What is it, Oedipus?
Not yet. No questions yet. Tell me this, Laius. How tall was he? How old a man?
He was big, with hair starting to turn white. In shape, he was not all that unlike you.
The worse for me? I may have set myself under a dreadful curse without my knowledge.
What do you mean?
I'm afraid, full of terrible fears the prophet sees. But you can reveal this better to me if you now will tell me one thing more.
If you ask me, I will answer you.
Did Laius have a small escort with him, or a troop of soldiers, like a royal king?
5 men, including a herald, went with him. A carriage carried Laius.
Alas. Alas. It's all too clear now. Who told you this?
A servant, the only one who got away. He came back here.
Is there any chance he's in our household now?
No. Once he returned and understood that you had now assumed the power of slaughtered Laius, he clasped my hands, begged me to send him off to where our animals graze in the fields so he could be as far away as possible from the sight of town. And so I sent him. He was a servant, but he'd earned my gratitude. He deserved an even greater favor.
I would like him to return here to us, and quickly too.
That can be arranged. But why is that something you would want to do?
I'm afraid I may have said too much. I want to see him here before me.
Then he will be here. But now, my lord, I deserve to know why you are so distressed.
My father was Polybus of Corinth. My mother, Merope, a Dorian. There I was regarded as the finest man in all the city. Until something took place. At dinner, a man who was quite drunk began to shout at me, claiming I was not my father's real son. The next day, I went to ask my parents. They were angry at the man who had insulted them this way, so I was reassured. But the accusation always troubled me. And so, I went off in secret to Delphi. Apollo uttered monstrous things, strange terrors, and horrific miseries. My fate was to defile my mother's bed and slay the father who engendered me. When I heard that, I ran away from Corinth, so I would never see that prophecy fulfilled. In my traveling, I came across that place in which you say your king was murdered. And in that place, I met a herald and a horse-drawn carriage with a man inside, just as you described. The guide there tried to force me off the road, and the old man, too, got personally involved. In my rage, I retaliated in good measure. I hit him with a quick blow and knocked him from his carriage. Then I killed them all. If that stranger was Lais, who is now more unfortunate than me? What man could be more hateful to the gods? A curse I laid upon myself with these killer's hands. Now I must fly into exile. Never see my people, never set foot on my native land again, or else I get married to my mother and kill my father, the man who gave me life. If anyone claimed this was from some malevolent god, would he not be right? Oh, you gods! May I not see that day. Let me rather vanish from the sight of men before I see a fate like that engulfs me.
My lord, to us these things are ominous, but you must sustain your hope until you hear the servant who is present at the time.
I do have some hope left, at least enough to wait for the man we've summoned.
Once he comes, what do you hope to hear?
If we discover what he says matches what you say, then I'll escape disaster.
What was so remarkable in what I said?
You said that in his story, the man claimed Laius was murdered by a band of thieves. If he still says that there were several men, then I was not the killer, since one man could never be mistaken for a crowd. But if he says it was a single man, the scales of justice sink down on me.
Well, that's certainly what he reported then. He cannot now withdraw what he once said. The whole city heard him, not just me alone. But even if he changes that old news, he cannot ever demonstrate, my lord, that Laius' murder fits the prophecy. For Apollo clearly said the man would die at the hands of an infant born from me. Now, how did that unhappy son of ours kill Laius when he perished long before? As far as these predictions go, from now on, I would not look for confirmation anyway.
You're right in what you say. But nonetheless, send for that peasant. Don't fail to do that.
I'll call him here as quickly as I can. Let's go inside. I'll not do anything which does not meet with your approval.
I pray fate still finds me worthy, demonstrating piety and reverence in all I say and do. In everything our loftiest traditions consecrate, those laws engendered in the heavenly skies, whose only father is Olympus.
Insolence gives birth to tyranny. That insolence which vainly crams itself and overflows with so much wealth beyond what's right or beneficial, that once it's climbed the highest rooftop, it's hurled down by force.
Such a quick fall, there's no safe landing on one's feet.
But if a man conducts himself disdainfully in what he says and does, and manifests no fear of righteousness, may miserable fate seize such a man for his disastrous arrogance, if he does not behave with justice when he strives to benefit himself.
And, like a fool, profanes the sacred. If such actions are considered worthy, why should we dance to honor God?
Ancient oracles which dealt with Laius are withering.
Men now set them aside.
Nowhere is Apollo honored publicly.
And our religious faith is dying away.
You leading citizens of Thebes, I think it is appropriate for me to visit our gods' sacred shrines. For Oedipus has let excessive pain seize on his heart and does not understand what's happening now by thinking of the past. Instead, he listens to whoever speaks to him of dreadful things. I can do nothing more with my advice. And so, Apollo, I come to you who stand here beside us with offerings and prayers for you to find some way of cleansing what corrupts us.
Strangers, can you tell me where I find the house of Oedipus, your king? Better yet, if you know, can you tell me where he is?
This is the home of Oedipus, and I am the mother of his children.
May your happy home always be blessed.
I wish the same for you, stranger. But tell us now why you have come. Do you seek information, or do you wish to give us some report?
Lady, I have good news for your whole house, and for your husband too.
What news is that? Where have you come from?
I've come from Corinth. You will no doubt be glad, although perhaps you will be sad as well.
What is your news?
The people who live there will make him their king. They have announced it.
What are you saying? Is old man Polybus no longer king?
No, he is dead and in his grave.
What? Has Oedipus' father died?
Yes.
Go at once and tell this to your master. Oedipus has for so long been afraid that he would murder him. He ran away, and now Polybus has died, killed by fate and not by Oedipus.
Ah, Jocasta, my dearest wife, why have you summoned me to come out here?
You must hear this man, and as you listen, decide for yourself what these prophecies amount to.
Who is this man? What report does he have for me?
He comes from Corinth, bringing news that Polybus, your father, no longer is alive. He's dead.
What?
Polybus has passed away. He's gone.
By treachery? Or was it the result of some disease?
With old bodies, a slight weight on the scale brings final peace.
Apparently, his death was from an illness?
Yes, and from old age.
Alas! Why should any man pay due reverence to Apollo's shrine where his prophet lives? For he foretold that I was going to murder my own father. But now he's dead and lies beneath the earth, and I am here. I never touched my spear. Perhaps he died from a desire to see me. So in that sense, I brought about his death. But as for those prophetic oracles, they're worthless. Polybus has taken them to Hades where he lies.
Was I not the one who predicted this some time ago?
You did. But then I was misguided by my fears.
You must not keep on filling up your heart with all these things.
But my mother's bed. Surely I should still be afraid of that.
Why should a man whose life seems ruled by chance live in fear? Do not worry, you will wed your mother. It is true that in their dreams men have slept with their own mothers, but someone who ignores all this bears life more easily.
While my mother lives, I must remain afraid.
But still, your father's death is a great comfort to us.
Yes, it is good, I know. But she is still alive.
This one you fear, what kind of woman is she?
Old man, her name is Merope, wife to Polybus.
And what in her makes you so fearful?
Stranger, a dreadful prophecy sent me from the god.
Is it well known or something private?
No, it's public knowledge. Loxias once said it was my fate that I would marry my own mother and shed my father's blood with my own hands. That's why, many years ago, I left my home in Corinth.
And because you were afraid of her, you stayed away from Corinth.
And because I did not want to be my father's killer.
My lord, Since I came to make you happy, why do I not relieve you of this fear?
Oh, you would receive from me a worthy thanks. But I will never go back to my parents.
My son, it is so clear you have no idea what you are doing.
What do you mean, old man? In the name of all the gods, tell me.
If that's the reason why you're a fugitive and won't go home.
I feared Apollo's prophecy might reveal itself in me.
You were afraid you might become corrupted through your parents.
That's right, old man. That was my constant fear.
Are you aware these fears of yours are groundless?
And why is that, if I was born their child?
Because you and Polybus were not related.
What do you mean? Was not Polybus my father?
Oh, he was as much your father as this man here. No more, no less.
But how can any man who means nothing to me be just the same as my own father?
But Polybus was not your father, no more than I am.
Then why did he call me his son?
If you must know, he received you as a gift many years ago. I gave you to him.
He really loved me. How could he if I came from someone else?
Because before you came, he had no children.
When you gave me to him, you had bought me or discovered me by chance?
I found you in Kithaeron's forest valleys.
What were you doing wandering up there?
I was looking after flocks of sheep.
You were a shepherd.
Yes, my son, I was. I was the one who saved you.
You picked me up and took me off. What sort of suffering did you save me from?
The ankles on your feet could tell you that.
My old misfortune. Why mention that?
Your ankles had been pierced and pinned together. I set them free.
My dreadful mark of shame. I've had that scar there since I was a child.
That's why fortune gave you your very name, the one which you still carry.
Tell me, in the name of the heavens, did my parents, my father and mother, do this to me?
I don't know. The man who gave you to me knows more of this than I do.
You mean to say you got me from someone else? It wasn't you who stumbled on me.
No, it wasn't me. Another shepherd gave you to me.
Who? Who was he? Do you know? Can you tell me any details, ones you know for certain?
Well, I think he was one of Laius's servants. That's what people said.
You mean King Laius, the one who ruled this country years ago?
That's right. He was one of the king's shepherds.
Is he still alive? Can I see him?
You people live here. You'd best answer that.
Do any of you here know the man the shepherd describes? Have you seen him either in the fields or here in Thebes?
The man he mentioned is, I think, the very peasant from the fields you wanted to see earlier. But of this, Jocasta could tell more than anyone.
Do you know the man we sent for? Just minutes ago, the one we summoned here? Is he the one the messenger refers to?
Why ask me what he means? Forget all that. There's no point trying to sort out what he said.
With all these indications of the truth here in my grasp, I cannot end this now. I must reveal the details of my birth.
In the name of the gods, no! If you have some concern for your own life, then stop. Do not keep on investigating this. I will suffer. That will be enough.
Be brave. You will still have your noble lineage.
Listen to me, I beg you, do not do this.
I will not be convinced. I should not learn the whole truth of what these facts amount to.
But I care about your own well-being. What I tell you is for your benefit.
What you're telling me for my own good just brings me more distress.
Oh, you unhappy man! May you never find out who you really are.
Go, one of you. Bring that shepherd here.
Alas, there's nothing more that I can say to you. I'll never speak another word again.
Why has the queen rushed off, Oedipus, so full of grief? I fear a disastrous storm will soon break through her silence.
Then let it break, whatever it is. As for myself, no matter how base-born my family, I wish to know the seed from where I came. Perhaps my queen is now ashamed of me and of my insignificant origin. She likes to play the noble lady. But I will never feel myself dishonored. I see myself as a child of fortune, and she is generous, that mother of mine from whom I spring. And the months my siblings have seen me by turns both small and great. That's how I was born. I cannot prove false to my own nature, nor can I ever cease from seeking out the facts of my own birth.
O Phoebus, we cry out to you.
Who gave birth to you, my child?
Which one of the immortal gods bore you to your father Pan, who roams the mountainsides?
Was it some bedmaid of Apollo?
Or was it the Bacchanalian god dwelling on the mountaintops who took you as a newborn joy?
You elders, though I've never seen the man, if I had to guess, I think I see him. He's coming here. He looks very old. I know the people coming with him, servants of mine. But if you've seen him before, you'll recognize him better than I will.
Yes, I recognize the man. There's no doubt he worked for Laius, a trusty shepherd.
Stranger from Corinth, let me first ask you, is this the man you spoke of?
Yes, he is.
You, old man, over here. Look at me. Some time ago, did you work for Laius?
Yes, as a servant. But I was not bought. I grew up in his house.
How did you live? What was the work you did?
Most of my life, I've been looking after sheep.
Whereabouts? In what specific places?
On Kithaeron, or the neighboring lands.
Do you know if you came across this man? Anywhere up there?
Doing what? What man do you mean?
The man over here. This one. Have you ever met him before?
Right now, I can't say I remember him.
My lord, that's surely not surprising. Let me refresh his failing memory. I think he will remember all too well the time we spent around Kithaeron. He had 2 flocks of sheep and I had 1. I was with him there for 6 months at a stretch, from early spring until the autumn season. In winter, I'd drive my sheep down to my folds and he'd take his to his pens at Laius owned. Isn't that what happened, what I just said?
Yeah, you spoke the truth, but it was long ago.
All right then. Now tell me if you recall how you gave me a child, an infant boy, for me to raise as my own foster son.
What? Why ask about that?
This man here, my friend, was that young child back then.
Damn you! Can't you keep quiet about it?
Hold on, old man. Don't criticize him. What you have said is more objectionable than his account.
My noble master, what have I done wrong?
You did not tell us of that infant boy, the one he asked about.
That's what he says, but he knows nothing. A useless busybody.
If you won't tell us of your own free will, once we start to hurt you, you will talk.
By all the gods, don't torture an old man.
One of you there, tie up this fellow's hands.
Why are you doing this? It's too much for me. What is it you want to know?
The child he mentioned, did you give it to him?
I did. How I wish I died that day.
Well, you're going to die if you don't speak the truth.
And if I do, the death I suffer will be even worse.
It seems to me the man is trying to stall.
No, I'm not. I've already told you. I did give him the child.
Where did you get it? Did it come from your own home or somewhere else?
It was not mine. I got it from someone.
which of our citizens? Whose home was it?
In the name of the gods, my lord, don't ask. Please, no more questions.
If I have to ask again, then you will die.
The child was born in Laius' house.
From a servant or from some relative of his?
Alas, what I'm about to say now is horrible.
It may be horrible, but nonetheless, I have to hear it.
If you must know, they said the child was his. But your wife inside the palace is the one who could best tell you what was going on.
You mean she gave the child to you?
Yes, my lord.
Why did she do that?
So I would kill it.
That wretched woman was the mother?
Yes. She was afraid of dreadful prophecies.
What sort of prophecies?
The story went that he would kill his father.
If that was true, why did you give the child to this old man?
I pitied the boy, master. And I thought he'd take the child off to a foreign land where he was from. But he rescued him, only to save him for the greatest grief of all. For if you are who this man says you are, you know your birth carried an awful fate.
So it all came true? So clear now. Oh, light, let me look at you one final time. A man who stands revealed as cursed by birth, cursed by my own family, and cursed by murder where I should not kill.
Poor wretched Oedipus, your fate stands here to demonstrate for me how no mortal man is ever blessed.
Here was a man who fired his arrows well. His skill was matchless.
And he won the highest happiness in everything.
For Zeus, he slaughtered the hook-taloned Sphinx and stilled her cryptic song.
For our state, he stood there like a tower against death. And from that moment, Oedipus, we have called you our king.
And honored you above all other men, the one who rules in mighty Thebes.
But now who is there whose story is more terrible to hear? Whose life has been so changed by trouble, by such ferocious agonies?
Alas, for celebrated Oedipus, the same spacious place of refuge served you both as child and father, the place you entered as a new bridegroom.
How could the furrow where your father planted, poor wretched man, have tolerated you in such silence for so long?
Time, which watches everything and uncovered you against your will, now sits in judgment of that fatal marriage, where child and parent have been joined so long.
Oh, you most honored citizens of Thebes, what we do to ourselves brings us most pain.
The calamities we knew about before were hard enough to bear. What can you say to make them worse?
I'll waste no words. Noble Jocasta, our queen, is dead.
How did she die?
She killed herself. She left here frantic and rushed inside, the fingers of both hands clenched in her hair. She ran through the hall straight to her marriage bed. She went in, slamming both doors behind her and crying out to Laius. Oedipus, with a dreadful howl, as if someone had pushed him, leapt at the double doors, bent the bolts by force out of their sockets, and burst into the room. She was hanging there, swaying, with twisted cords roped around her neck. With a dreadful groan, he took her body from the noose, and then, when the poor woman was lying on the ground, from her clothes he ripped the golden brooches she wore as ornaments, raised them high, and drove them deep into his eyeballs, crying as he did so. You will no longer see those things I suffered, the things I did. So now and for all future time be dark. With these words, he raised his hands and struck, not once, but many times, right in the socket. With every blow, blood spurted from his eye down on his beard, and not in single drops, but showers of dark blood splattering like hail. He shouted at everyone to open up the gates and thus reveal to all his father's killer, his mother's. But I must not say those words. He wants them to cast him out of Thebes, so the curse he laid will not come on this house. If he still lives inside, but he is weak and needs someone to lead him on his way.
An awful fate for human eyes to witness. The worst I've ever seen. What madness came on you? I cannot look at you.
Alas, alas, where do I go?
To a fearful place from which men turn away, a place they hate to look upon.
Oh, the dark horror engulfing me. Alas for me, the pain of stabbing brooches pierces me. The memory of agonizing shame.
You bear a double load of suffering, a double load of pain.
Oh, my friend, so you still care for me, as always, and with this patience nurse me now. I'm blind. I recognize you all too clearly, though I am blind. I know that voice so well.
You have carried out such dreadful things. How could you dare to blind yourself this way? What god drove you to it?
It was Apollo, friends. It was Apollo. He brought on these troubles, the awful things I suffer. But the hand which stabbed out my eyes was mine alone. In my wretched life, why should I have eyes where there is nothing sweet for me to see?
What you have said is true enough.
What is there for me to see? What can I love? Whose greeting can I hear and feel delight? Hurry now, my friends. Lead me away from Thebes. Take me somewhere, a man completely lost, utterly accursed, the mortal man the gods despise the most.
Happy in your fate and in your mind, which now knows all.
Wherever the man is who freed my feet, who released me from that cruel shackle and rescued me from death, may that man die. It was a thankless act. Had I perished then, I would not have brought such agony to myself or to my friends.
I agree. I too would have preferred death as well.
I would not have come to kill my father, and men would not see in me the husband of the woman who gave birth to me. Now I am abandoned by the gods, the son of a corrupted mother, conceiving children with the woman who gave my own miserable life.
I do not believe what you did to yourself is for the best. Better to be dead than alive and blind.
Do not tell me what I've done is not for the best. And from now on, spare me your advice. If I could see, I don't know how my eyes could look at my own father when I come to Hades, or my wretched mother. Against those two, I have committed acts so vile that even if I hanged myself, that would not be sufficient punishment. I am the most abhorred of men. I'm the finest man, all those bred in Thebes. I have condemned myself, telling everyone they had to banish for impiety the man the gods now exposed as sacrilegious. A son of Laius, too. So fine to look at, so corrupt inside.
Creon is coming.
Alas, how will I talk to him? Not long ago, I treated him with such contempt.
Oedipus, I've not come here to mock or blame you for disasters in the past. But if you can no longer value human beings, at least respect our Lord the Sun and do not put on show pollution of this kind in such a public way. Take him inside the house as quickly as you can. The kindest thing would be for members of his family to be the only ones to see and hear him.
By all the gods, since you have come here to treat me graciously, the very worst of men, do what I ask. I will speak for your own benefit, not mine.
What are you so keen to get from me?
Cast me out as quickly as you can away from Thebes, to a place where no living human being can come across my path.
That is something I could do. But first, I wish to know what the God says about what I should do.
But what he said was also clear. The man who killed his father must be destroyed. And that corrupted man is me.
Yes, that is what was said. But now, with things the way they are, the wisest thing is to ascertain quite clearly what to do.
Will you then be making a request on my behalf when I am so depraved?
I will. For even you must now trust in the gods.
Yes, I do. And I have a task for you. As I make this plea, that woman in the house, please bury her as you see fit. You are the one to give your own the proper funeral rites. But never let my father's city be condemned to have me living here while I still live. Let me make my home up in the mountains by Kithaeron, whose fame is now my own. When my father and mother were alive, they chose it as a special burying place. And thus, when I die, I shall be following the orders of the ones who tried to kill me. As for my two sons, Creon, there's no need for you to care for them on my behalf. They are men, and no matter where they are, they'll always have enough to live on. But my two poor daughters have never known my dining table placed away from them or lacked their father's presence. They shared everything I touched, so it's always been. So take care of them for me. Do not let them live as vagrant paupers wandering around unmarried. You are a relative of theirs. Don't let them sink to the lives of desperation like my own. Promise me you will extend your hand to them.
You have grieved enough. And now go into the house.
I must obey.
In due time, all things will work out for the best.
I will go. But you know there are conditions.
Tell me. Once I hear them, I'll know what they are.
Send me away to live outside of Thebes.
Only the god can give you what you ask.
But I've become abhorrent to the gods.
Then you should quickly get what you desire.
So you agree?
I say what I mean.
Come then. Lead me off.
You residents of Thebes,
Our native land.
Look on this man.
This Oedipus.
The one who understood that celebrated riddle.
he was the most powerful of men.
All citizens who witnessed this man's wealth were envious.
Now, what a surging tide of terrible disaster sweeps around him.
So while we wait to see that final day,
We cannot call a mortal being happy before he's passed beyond life, free from pain.